we stopped dancing and we started singing this beautiful angelic sound, and although it was discordance at the beginning, it all became one, and I felt so much love, and I could see it with my eyes shut. I could touch it, feel it. It was, a light bulb moment for me. That was, everything is meant to be as it is, and let go of your expectation, because I was fighting so much for and doing things and trying to find the next technique to improve myself, or I was just looking and and then Spirit said to me, just stop searching, stop looking, just be.
In the air, by the sea, from the land, and within you and me, fairies are whispering. Have you been coloured, confused, completely captivated, and craving clarity? This is Claire Casely, and I am a fairy whisperer.
Maybe you could use some clarity, some guidance.
To catch a whisper, you have to listen closely. Listen with me. What you seek is seeking you is a quote by 13th century poet Rumi. It suggests that we don't have to push and strive so hard for what we really want in life. But is there any truth in this? Hello and welcome. I'm Claire Casely. This time I walked and talked with friend Typh. It was so inspiring to hear Typh's story about how she's manifested her ideal job and also a dream of hers of owning land in her native France. She also talks about how illness was a turning point for her. I can resonate with this, and I tell my story of my experience with illness changing my life too. She brought her flute with her, and we wandered from 2 bridges along the Cowsick River and up to the Bear Down plantation. After leaving the woods, we had a bit of an adventure which I recount here.
And I closed my eyes and I could see all these angels surrounding me, and it was like, and with my eyes closed they were around me and just looking straight, and the path was clear, and they finished the song and I was just crying of, like, I could feel it and touch it. It was incredible. And this woman touched my hand very gently, and I opened my eyes and they were like I imagined it with my eyes closed, and I was like, oh no, because I had so much going on at that time. I was like, I'm sorry, Spirit, for not trusting you. I'm so sorry. And all these tears, like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And I took myself out in the grass, and I kneel on the grass and I said, I'm so sorry, Spirit, for not trusting, for not believing you, because something wasn't going my way. I had lost that trust, and I felt that I had to say sorry. It felt, because I was proven that it was meant to be as it was, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And I felt so much love, and that things are as they should be, and it was fine. And it was just not believing.
So you were talking about a community singing session that was part of trance dance.
And we stopped dancing and we started singing this beautiful angelic sound, and although it was discordance at the beginning, it all became one, and I felt so much love, and I could see it with my eyes shut. I could touch it, feel it. It was a light bulb moment for me. That was, everything is meant to be as it is, and let go of your expectation, because I was fighting so much for and doing things and trying to find the next technique to improve myself, or I was just looking and and then Spirit said to me, just stop searching, stop looking, just be. And shortly after that, the workshop, I had COVID. And that was again an affirmation to say, just stop. And I had to stop, because I was bedridden for 2 weeks, and further after that I had no energy. A month after was still, and Spirit, it was a clear message for me to just stop everything you're doing. And I did, and I made changes. I found a new job which I really love, and the message was so clear. And then there was little, synchronicities, like I could find, like on YouTube I found an incredible video with do you know Gangaji?
No, Gangaji.
Gangaji, she's a spiritual leader, and she was told by a Punjabi guy, and the same, she had a similar experience, or I had a similar experience to her anyway, where she was looking for the next thing to do to be a better person, and the next technique. So she goes to India and meet this guy and knock at the door, and he said, oh, what can I do for you? And they sit together, have lunch, and he looked at her and said, just stop looking. And I stumbled upon this video and I listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, this is what's happening for me. And I listened to the message, and again she was like, just stop. And it's when you stop looking, it's in this like little moment that you just are, you're present, you're here. And it was just so clear, like I was ill, there was nothing I could do, so I just had to be. And I didn't see a lot of people for probably 2 months. I couldn't do much, to be honest, so I just had to be.
Wonderful. I mean, it's like this idea of the shamanic illness, isn't it? Because so many people have these turning points through illness. I know I do myself. Back in 2009, 2010 onwards, maybe even before that, I was in a job that I wasn't really happy with. I'd worked in several different jobs, and I'd come home from work and I'd just go straight to bed. I was just so exhausted. And then I had my children, my twins, which took a load of energy. Oh my gosh. And I gradually thought, hang on a minute, I'm not happy in my job. and I seemed to be increasingly sick all the time,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
virus after virus. And eventually my body said, just stopped me, like you say, it just stopped me in its tracks. And I ended up leaving the corporate world behind, which had never been right for me anyway, because I'm
Yeah.
creative, like you, creative soul, gentle sort of soul.
Yeah.
And that's when my life changed, from like the beginning of 2013 onwards. And even though it was hard,
How old were you, Claire, when that happened?
I would have been just 40.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So literally from, it's like this midlife
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
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 So it's interesting you've had that. And how has it changed your perspectives so far? I mean, what's come out? I know you said you've got a new job. Yeah, tell me a little bit about what you're doing now then, because I know...
So I have a job at a forest school, working with children that are excluded from school.
Yeah.
So, and now there's a story there as well. So I applied for the job, and that was slightly different, but for the same company. And I applied. Really wanted that job. I put everything into it, and I prayed, and I did my, like smudging and intention and etc. And anyway, obviously I didn't get it because I put so much effort into it.
Yes.
I was like, oh, come on, Spirit, just, I deserve this job. This is my job. It's got my name written on it. And they phoned me and said, oh, sorry, you didn't show enough commitment. And I was like, I was so upset. I was like, no, how dare they?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was the start of the changes for me, where I was like, I need to change job. And I know the job I want to do, and it has to be outdoors. Because that's where I feel the most alive, and that's my happy place. And I was just before I got ill with COVID, and again not having that job and putting so much I don't know, all my eggs were in the same basket, and I just wanted that job. And yeah, I didn't get it. A few months went by, and another job with the same company was advertised, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to apply for it, and you never know, sod it, and we'll see what happens. And I had the interview when I had COVID, and I thought, oh no, this is a Zoom interview, never done anything like it, and obviously you can't see the body language. So I answered all the questions fine, and I thought, oh, do you know what, I don't think I'll get it anyway. And then the next day they called and said, oh, you got the job.
Oh,
So again, that
amazing.
was when I eventually let go of everything. And I think that made me understand how intention works. And it's say, okay, this is what I want, and let it go of it. Not say, oh, come on, universe, give it to me now. I want it now. Please give it to me now. Where when I said, oh, I'll just go for it and see what happens, and there was no attachment behind it, and I thought, oh, do you know what, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think being ill made me realize how to let go, how intention works, and yeah, it was really powerful, and it was a spiritual purge for me, because I've learned so much from it. I never had that from any other illnesses. And yeah, to this point it was incredible. I mean, it wasn't nice, obviously, but I gained so much out of it. I've learned how to rest, how to look after myself better, and how to set my boundaries, because before that I don't think I was really good at saying, no, actually I don't have the energy today to see you, Where now I'm like, no, actually I need to look after myself before.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
so that was my little experience in illness and what it taught me. And it was deeply spiritual when I had the moment, because it was right at the beginning of COVID, and with the media, I thought, oh, I'm a bit scared actually. And I thought, what if I get worse? And I thought, you know what, just sleep. And that had nothing else. I couldn't do anything, so I just slept. So I've had this dream since I've been really young of having a land with animals and just being in nature. And I don't know how it came about. My auntie lives in a small village in France. When I was younger, there was this field with a stream, granite rocks, where we used to go and swim as children.
Yes.
And we went back together, and she said, oh, you should ask the man for the land. And we didn't know the name of the man or anything about him. Eventually we found out his name. So last time I was in France in December, I phoned him, and I said, oh, my name is Typh, and I'm calling to see if you're interested in selling your land in the future, and he said, oh no, I'm giving it to my grandchildren. And I had this minute where my heart just sank. I was like, oh no, that's it, my dream is shattered. And then I thought, oh no, actually, that microsecond, I thought, actually, I'm going to explain to him why I'm calling. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you anyway the reason of my call. So I explained my project about having children coming on the land and do a similar sort of thing that I'm currently doing with children in difficulty, and maybe adults, like workshop, healing. And he said, oh, you'll never guess what we're currently doing. We ourselves are interested. We're going to open a supported living houses where we are. So we're doing a similar project. And then I was like, oh, would you be interested in a partnership or meeting me? And I was going 4 days after, I was going back home and said, yes, absolutely. The day after Christmas, I can meet you. And I was, oh my God, how did this happen? And it was a Sunday. I met him, his wife, his daughter, and the grandchildren, and it was incredible. They were so supportive, even more than my own mother. Yeah. And they said, yeah, we completely understand what you want to do. We have a disabled son ourselves. And 50 years ago, when we bought the land, people thought we were crazy too. And he said, yeah, I completely understand what you're trying to do, and I'll be willing to rent you the land.
Wow.
So
that is just amazing. That's such an amazing example of, like you say, following spirit, following your dream, and everything just coming together.
Yeah. Because when he said, oh no, I'm not selling the land, I thought, oh well, if it's not this land, it'll be somewhere else there.
We're just walking along the Leat towards the plantation on Bear Down. Just come from the Cowsick River and then up across some farmland that belongs to the campsite. And there's amazing views from here right across Bear Down, the valley that eventually leads down to Wistman's Wood. A few years ago now, I was staying at a boyfriend's house who lived on Bodmin Moor. Middle of the night, I swear I could hear the singing coming from Bodmin Moor, because it's right in the middle of all those ancient places, stone circles and things. And I was walking, like he was saying about doubting things, I was walking around the house listening to the radiators, I was listening to the floor, and was like, well, it's not coming from the house, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's dead of night. There's no big noisy roads nearby, and it was this beautiful angelic singing like a choir. Yeah, so it's right on the periphery of my hearing. It's almost like a very, very distant radio. But I could hear it, and it was amazing. And that's the first time I'd heard something like that. And I've had other experiences since. So there are all these hidden sounds and experiences and the spirit of the landscape around us.
For me, that's when I know that I am where I'm meant to be. I only experienced it twice with people singing, and it felt like you described. There was actually angels in the room.
Yes.
And I can feel it and touch it and smell it.
Exactly, and it's not like I hear these things all the time. It's like it happens every now and again, and it's usually at a key moment in my life when I'm about to go off on another track or being shown a different way, or there's a life change of some kind. So a bit like your experience, would you say that it felt like it was heralding a change for you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was so much emotion behind it.
Yeah.
That I knew it meant something very deep and powerful, and I had manifested it, I guess.
Yeah.
Unconsciously, my body was so tired that I created that change. Look at you.
Oh, wow.
As we entered the tunnel of conifer trees, Typh took out her flute and began to play as we walked. We reached a place along the path where the path crossed a deep gully. It was a very strange place, and we felt that it was a good place to stop. Typh played her flute, and as she played, the pine trees swayed in the wind.
Wow.
Swinging and talking.
They're talking to you. They're talking back. This creaking was going on. It was fantastic. I hope my recorders picked that up.
When she stopped playing, I could hear what I thought was a woman singing. It could have been the sound of the wind high above the trees, but for all the world it sounded like a woman humming a song, as if she was calling back to Typh's flute playing. I was really excited, and I called Typh's attention and I said, "Did you hear that?" But she hadn't. We stood for a few moments listening, and I could still hear the singing.
Maybe it's because it's built in a place that is full of so much history, ancient history. Who knows what went on this hill? But not far from all those, remains of stone circles and stone rows and things.
time, and she looked at me very seriously and she said, "You got a witch's hat on?" And I had nothing at all on my head.
Really?
And I said, "Oh, have I?" And so kids know, and I think that's why I've been calling to work with children, because they have this presence about them, and just watching them is incredible.
Yeah.
And I feel closer to them than with adults, because adults have this protection about being vulnerable and this peeling layers, and where with children it's just the way it is, and they kick off and they're not happy, and that's just how it is.
Definitely. It's I think, I'm thinking about my kids from an early age. They're always very open, and we go for walks and I'd say, "Oh look at that tree," or "Look, there's something that looks like a pixie or a face." They're like, "Oh yeah."
And just making up stories that actually make sense. And I found that so incredible and liberating, that they can just make anything out of anything, and the story. And we're adults, we've lost that. I like the term Leo Rutherford uses, the magical child. And I think sometimes I do lose myself in life and get a bit too serious, and I go, I've lost my magical child. And I think that's why I'm working with children, because they are showing me again how to be.
Yeah. They do. I mean, my kids, if I get too serious or into my head, they soon pull me out of it. My son especially is very cheeky. He takes the mickey out of me. And that kicks me back into, life is
because
about...
you have to just be present.
Yeah.
Because that's how they are. They are just in the moment.
Yes.
We carried on out of the woods after this. We decided to go down the hill towards the West Dart River and try and find a place to cross. Finally, we came to a place where there was an island in the middle of the river. Typh crossed over. I didn't feel confident to make the last leap across with the dart, which was in full spate. So we decided that Typh would walk the other side of the river, parallel to me, until I could find another place to cross. It was becoming more and more misty. It was very wet. So I carried on, and then I had to dip down out of sight of Typh for some minutes because I had to cross another stream that was coming down the hill. So I crossed over there, saw Typh again, and there were some large rocks. So I thought, this is my last chance. I had very wet feet, but I didn't care at that point. I was glad to be on the same side as Typh and to be on the route to take us more easily back to where our cars are parked.
So when did you first start playing the flute, and what's your kind of musical journey with that?
Okay, I've always been interested in Native American music, and from a young age I had this memory of seeing a totem, and I don't know if it's something I made up as a child in my mind, but I've always had this attraction to indigenous culture. So anyway, before lockdown, I thought, I'm going to buy a flute. And then, as it was, we had a lot of time on our hands. And I started doodling on the flute and not really following any particular musical. I can't read music. Well, I can, but I didn't want it to be that way. So like you said earlier, I just listened to my soul and what it wanted to play. And I think it likes to play nature the most, because maybe that's where I am at home. And yeah, that's about it really. I don't know what's gonna come out when I play. It just comes out and I go with it.
Does the music flow from the landscape that you're in?
I think so. Yeah, or the places, the people, the energy of the place. I never know what it's gonna sound like. And there's no time or space. It just happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for a lot of intuitive players, or like yourself when you play the harp, I suppose.
Yeah, I do enjoy just intuiting music, and especially from Dartmoor, or woodlands near me, where I feel some kind of inspiration or some kind of presence. Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know if it's the same for you, but there are times where I just leave the flute for weeks and days on my shelves and I don't use it because I don't feel like I want to play, or it doesn't want to play.
Yeah, that's what I go through times like that, definitely. And I was going to ask you, because we're on Dartmoor, and this place does have such a presence, and so many people say, oh, I go to Dartmoor, it's like my sanctuary, and something special about it. What do you feel from Dartmoor when you're up here? What's the sort of feeling in your body, or your spirit, if you like, when you're up here?
For me, it's just very mystical. Like, we're walking now and it's misty and it's wet and my feet are covered in mud. It's just magical. You don't know. Well, I never know where I'm gonna end up. And we went on a long trek today. Hi. Yes, and where we were earlier at Bear Down Farm, the energy again is completely different to to Westman's Wood. Because it seems like it has had a lot of ceremonies and people came here with a purpose and in a way respected and honored the land. And it's not moved for probably or changed for many years, apart from now with more walkers about, and deep connection, I think, to places like here.
So we both agreed we'd had a bit of an unexpected adventure. I realised that both had to trust. We both were committed to that path because it was too difficult to go back the way we came. We were laughing at one point as I kept falling over the tussocks of grass and couldn't get up, and so I'd get up and fall over again. There was some worry when we lost sight of each other. Oh, and the one thing that Typh said was that as she was looking for me across the river, she thought she saw another figure on my side of the river behind me, I think. I didn't see anyone. There was no one else around. I was completely on my own. Whether that was some kind of guardian spirit looking out for me, making sure I was okay. Thank you, whoever it was, for getting us safely back to the warmth of our car.